All right, y'all. So instead of doing just straight up running back rankings for this upcoming season, I put all my running backs into tiers. So I don't have like 1 through 25, but I have tiers separating players. You got to put players into like these different buckets. So as the tiers go down, that's when think players are getting worse and worse and have less value. So we're just going to go through it. I'm going to explain my reasoning for each tier, and then you guys can obviously comment if you have any questions or any problems with it. So let's just jump right into it. First tier, really easy. Just look at the name. Don't overthink it. People are going to try to get cute. Put a guy like Bijan, maybe put a guy like Chubb, maybe put a guy like Saquon up there. Don't overthink it. CMC, Eckler, both have great pass catching upside. Both probably going to average over 15 points a game this year. Both deserve to be the top two running backs off the board. Now, the reason they're in a tier together and one's not on their own is because I think if you have the 101 and you want to go running back, if you take Eckler or CMC, not really that big of a difference between those two players. The next tier is could finish as the RB1 and no one be surprised. Now, this is a weird tier because I do think there's three people that stand out in this group that are better than the rest. But the way I labeled this tier is could finish as the RB1 and no one be surprised. So that's why I got guys like Pollard and Derrick Henry in here, because Derrick Henry has been the RB1 before. And Pollard was the RB8 last year, only playing about 50% of the snaps. But I think Saquon, Chubb, and Bijan kind of clear the rest of these guys. But I have to put the rest of them in this tier together because I think they fit the mold, which kind of defeats the purpose of doing tiers. I understand that. But I just had to get that off my chest because I didn't want to make another tier just for Pollard, Henry, and Jacobs and JT. I feel like they all belong here, but I do feel like Saquon, Chubb, and Bijan kind of are a little bit better than them. The next tier I have young guys plus Aaron Jones. I didn't want to put Aaron Jones anywhere below the third tier. I think he's a very good back, but he just doesn't fit the mold with the other four backs in this tier. I think Jordan Love is going to rely on Aaron Jones a lot, though. And these other guys, they're just young, they're explosive. There's these fun players that everyone's going to expect to have a big year, but they are just a little step below the guys in tier 2. Next tier is boring but good, and also J.K. Dobbins. I just didn't know what to do with J.K. Dobbins. I do think he's a step down from the people in tier 3, but he's also a step up from the people in the tier below him. So I don't know. I like J.K. Dobbins a lot. I need to see a little bit more from him. I'm not targeting a whole lot in my drafts, but these other guys, they're going to get you 10 points a game. Could be your running back too. Could be your flex play. All these guys are just really solid. They're boring players. They don't have a lot of pass catching upside. Some of them aren't really even explosive, but they're just solid. They're good players. The next tier is just called Proceed with Caution. There's a lot of players that I actually really do like in this tier, but there's just too many red flags to ignore. Obviously, the one that's going to stick out the most is Kenneth Walker. Seahawks drafted Zach Charbonnet, so he's obviously going to have a role. Second-round draft capital is nothing to sneeze at, especially at the running back position. And he just had a groin injury in camp. There's just a lot of things going wrong for Kenneth Walker right now. I do think he's a very talented back, but I can't take him over anyone in the tiers above him. Breece Hall and Javonte Williams, too. Two young, very good backs. But I think both their knee injuries are a bit more serious than the teams are letting on. So, come week 1, if these guys are starters and handling the workload, obviously they're going to be tier 2 or 3 running backs. But we don't know anything for sure right now. The last tier for me is just called jail. To me, that just means players I'm going to try to avoid. Rachaad White could be good. Wasn't really impressed with what I saw last year. Bucks offense is not going to be good at all this season. So you want to avoid players in bad offenses. Then you got a guy like James Cook, who I like. He might be a post-type sleeper. The Bills drafted him pretty high. They want him to be a pass-catching back. Someone needs to get carries in that backfield that isn't named Josh Allen. So maybe you take a stab at James Cook late in the draft. But yeah, other than that, this tier, I would just avoid these players.